Okay, well, considering how much area I'm covering with a wash-in, I think I'm going to end up washing in the entire painting. But right now we're going to focus in this area a little more. So I'll adjust the camera in such a way that the foreground is not distracting too much. I would like, there's a few things that bother me in here, and I have too much of this, too much of this. It puts too much weight, for my taste, in the on the top. I know it's foliage. I know it's going to be broken up in a lot of places, but it's still bothering me. I'd like to break it up a little bit. So we're going to poke some sky in there, and as I say, add a lot of paint to the painting. Now you might think, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'd like to drop this down. There we go. Let me just adjust this camera again. Sorry, I'm editing. Okay, that's enough editing. I think what I'll do is, oh no, I already told you what I was going to do. Here's the point I was going to make. Because the entire canvas will now be washed in over top of the tint, you know, in a way I feel I didn't even need to tint it. I could have just washed in the whole thing. And the wash-in would act as a tint. But, you know, if you could take this painting the way it's being done now, and if you could take the same painting but it had been painted, washed in on just pure white, you would see the difference. This painting would actually have a warmer feel to it, because even though I'm not going to really allow any of this this burnt sienna tint to show through, due to the refractive index of paint, it will come through in very, very subtle ways. So it's not a complete waste. And frankly, I'd rather tint my canvases for the most part anyway, because then it's done. Then they're ready to paint on. You know, if I have all white canvases and then one day I think, oh, I think I'd like to stain this and then paint this over it, well, then I have to stain the one canvas, and then on that same day, for example, begin to paint on a wet tint, and then you lose a little bit of control over things. And I'm not too fond of that. That being said, sometimes a loss of control is not so bad. But in this case, I don't want a loss of control. You know what I would like to do? I'd like to get rid of this. Now the sky is going to have some blue, well, there's going to be with my plan a lot of cloud in here, but you're not going to worry too much about the shapes of the cloud, because really the bulk of the painting is going to be occupied by the foreground and middle ground. But I'd like to lighten this area. As I said, there's a lot of weight, so I want to break it up. I've left a lot of holes so far. They're all orange for the time being. I'm going to change that, and we're going to go gray. And we're going to rely not on chroma, but on value to keep the sky kind of interesting. That goes across, okay. So right now I've mixed a little bit of raw umber, a bit of white, and paint thinner. And in this area, that's it. That's the color I'm using. I'm not going to get excited about anything else. I love it. I live on a road. You know, I live amongst a cluster. The road's about a mile long, and I live in a cluster of, let's see, 1, 2, 5 houses. For some reason, people like to just kind of glide along on the open areas. But when they get close to this cluster of 5 houses, which contain children and pets, they like to show off and race and make more noise. And I just think, what is happening to the IQ of people in general? I guess maybe they just want to show off their, or what they think are hot vehicles, or draw attention to themselves or whatever. Just unbelievable stupidity though. And I should be the last person to talk, because I am sure that when I was young, I did the same. Okay, that's a little too sneaky. Too sneaky. Too serpentine. Too detailed. Too wormy looking. Yeah, I'm more concerned with shaping these now than I am in painting this, actually. And I'm happy to get rid of this orange because it's very intense. My plan has changed, so we're going to lose some of that intensity. Being careful not to allow my values to get too high right now. I'm certainly dropping the chroma in this guy, and well, in the value as well. And the rest of this is not, I'm not concerned about it. Things are pretty much in place. It was really this arc that I wanted. I wanted this to come down. I wanted this to flow down and then scoop up a little bit again. So I'm going to need to break in here a little bit. Mainly, I did not want all this weight up here. And the best way to get rid of weight is break it up. I don't mean body weight. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. At least not in any easy way. Okay. Continuing with that. Okay, that's a bit light. You know what I might do is add just a hint of ultramarine blue to that raw umber and white mixture. Just to take some of the lead out of that pencil. Just weaken it a little bit. Because I want to give myself room to raise those values when I go in with a knife. I don't want to go in with the knife and go, oh, that's a little too light. Because I had arrived, you know, at already too high values. I want the ability to lay strong strokes on top of weaker strokes. So let's make sure that our weaker strokes happen during the wash-in. Actually, let's cut through that. And my brush is so shot right now, but I'm not worried. I don't want to worry too much about making the tightest, hardest edge strokes right now, because again, it's a wash-in. That it's those knife strokes that are going to be hard ones. But let's see, we have, this is all coming along okay. I'd like to break it about there, and shape it about like that, maybe one there. We're going to go with just a little more ultramarine blue. You know, toning those values down, because that orange, oh, it's so intense. So intense. It's just a distraction. Not to say it can't be done, but why not make it easier on yourself if you can? Okay, that's sort of going up okay. I think that's okay. I think that's alright. Okay, so we'll move off to the right here a little bit. Where did my raw umber go? There we go. Put just a little bit, just a touch more on my palette, because raw umber, if I put on way too much, then by tomorrow morning it will be dry. And I will have wasted it if I don't use it today. Okay. Raw umber. Ultramarine blue. A bit of white. Now throw a little bit of cobalt blue in there too. What the heck? Keep it interesting. Okay. Oh, this brush is a mess now. That's okay. When this washing is done, so is the brush. The brush is going to go to a better place. Okay, I think we have this broken up enough now. I don't mind more sort of mass, the feeling of mass here, because this is powerful. This is strong. This cuts across here. I think we're okay with that. Yeah, you know, and some of the foliage can catch some light as well. So between all those different options, I think we'll be okay with that. Now really all I want to do is I'll probably wash in the foreground. Let me pull the camera back and square it off again. Okay, there we go. So you can clearly see that this is a pretty distracting color to have here when you're working on the rest. So I'm going to need to knock this down. I'm just going to take some ultramarine blue and a bit of yellow ochre, and I'll add a little raw umber to it just to make it dirty. A little bit dirty, and then we'll cover this area, and that won't be distracting. Then we're ready to go in with the knife. Okay. See you soon.